My Hero Academia is once more on the airwaves, and after its first episode reintroduced us to our favorite characters, the second episode of season 4 is here to get us right into the action once again. My reviews are going to work in a way where I talk about the new episode and its contents while glancing over what I think was cool, talk about my favorite character for the episode and least favorite, and then talk about my favorite and least favorite moment from the episode as well. There's a lot to unpack in this first true episode back, so I want to get right into it. This episode is called Overhaul, and with very good reasoning. Things open up with Twice bringing Overhaul to the main base of the League of Villains, introducing him to Shigaraki and the other villains. Overhaul is revealed to be linked with Yakuza, a mafia-esque group in Japan that doesn't have the same power as it used to because of the rise in superpowered beings. Villains most likely just hire them to do grunt work, but Overhaul is definitely different. After some discussion regarding All for One and a possible alliance, the personalities of Overhaul and Shigaraki obviously do not mix well and a fight breaks out. And oh boy, let me just say it got pretty gruesome. It looks like all someone has to do is touch Overhaul and their body explodes from the veins out, and one of the League of Villains members finds that out firsthand. It has to be the bloodiest and possibly most disgusting death we've seen so far in the show, and I'm not sure how they'll top someone literally exploding. Well, they do try to top it immediately by having Shigaraki actually use his quirk to deteriorate and kill one of Overhaul's minions, though it doesn't have quite the effect that Overhaul has with his absolutely insane quirk, one that we still don't even really know about yet. There's also a part where he blows off the League of Villains member's arm after stopping the member's quirk from being usable, so a lot of questions are still to be asked about just what he can do. We move from the League of Villains and Overhaul to Class 1A and the announcement that they'll be allowed to participate in work studies once more, even though many of the adults in the school and others outside of it think it's a poor idea. The students are still extremely excited for the opportunity to work alongside pro heroes and even help if need be, thanks to their provisional license. Deku ends up defaulting to Gran Torino, hoping to work with him once again on this venture, but he is shut down. Gran Torino suggests that perhaps Deku should speak with All Might about working under Sir Nighteye, the one-time sidekick to the symbol of peace. Deciding that is a good idea, Deku decides to talk with All Might and quickly finds out about a rift between All Might and Sir Nighteye that results in All Might telling him he can't help introduce the two. However, there is someone who can, and that is the third year, Togata. Deku is able to convince Togata to introduce him to Sir Nighteye, and when the two go meet him, that's where the real humor comes out. Bakugo and Todoroki are still having to go through provisional license makeup classes due to their shortcomings during season 3, and getting to see them on screen together a bit was pretty great. Togata warns Deku that if he can't make Sir Nighteye laugh, he's going to have a tough time convincing him to let him into his agency. The episode closes on Deku doing this long worked on impression of All Might, doing everything in his power to make Sir Nighteye laugh. This completely backfires as he believes Deku is possibly mocking All Might, and the episode closes out with a cliffhanger on whether or not Sir Nighteye is going to be down with letting Deku into his agency for the work of study. I gotta say, this episode was leaps and bounds more enjoyable than last week's. We got actual plot progression, we're introduced to several of the key components of this season, and the stage was set for the continued build-up between both the heroes and villains to see who will ascend as the new leaders of both sides. One can only assume that the paths of Deku, Sir Nighteye, and Togata will definitely cross with Overhaul and his crew, and it's gonna be an absolutely wild encounter when it happens. So my favorite part of the episode was definitely the encounter at the League of Villains hideout. Leading up to this point, we were pretty much led to believe that Shigaraki was the biggest threat to our heroes with All for One locked up in Tartarus, and yet Overhaul totally showed us otherwise. I still have no idea what exactly his quirk does, and if you know down in the comments from reading the manga, I'd like you to please keep it to yourself. However, if you're as clueless about it as I, and so many others are, let me know down in the comments what you think it is. I speculated that it might be something related to the oxygen in people's blood, perhaps expanding and just causing an internal explosion, but I have no idea what it really could be. His quirk is called Overhaul. His name is Overhaul. It's all just really interesting, and I can't put my finger on what it must be entirely. All I know is that it's definitely one of the more gross quirks we've seen up to this point. Speaking of Overhaul, he is the highlight of the episode for sure. He's definitely my favorite character in this one. Getting to learn a little bit about his connection with Yakuza, and the fact that he is really just an extremely powerful guy committing organized crime who is now trying to take over the entire underbelly of the world with All for One is intriguing. The whole first half of the episode is ruled by Overhaul, and it really speaks to the point that his name is the title of the episode. I can't wait to see how things develop with him and the other villains over the course of the season. My least favorite moment and character go hand in hand. The being Sir Nighteye and his weird tickling of his sidekick Bubble Girl. It's not a hate or anything that I felt for Sir Nighteye after this. I was just so taken back by how uncomfortably weird it was after strapping this girl to his device and made her tickle for punishment. I guess I can understand how working with All Might for so long has probably made Sir Nighteye want to see everyone with a smile and a positive state of mind, even while he looks so creepy. I definitely think I'll grow to like Sir Nighteye more as I get to know more about him, and presumably see Deku interact with him. But for right now, he is my least favorite character in the episode, and his tickle torture device was definitely the low part of things. I want to update you guys my thoughts on the opening and ending after getting to experience them a second time, and say I've come around to the opening a little bit more. While not visually impressive, it's a great song, and I realize now just how much of the new cast it was able to insert naturally, and it got me a bit more excited to see all the new stuff coming over for the following months of the show. The ending is also still a complete banger, and I'm even more hyped up to meet this girl and find out her significance to Overhaul, Deku, and the rest of the focus characters in Season 4. The preview for Episode 3 shows us that our focus will be on Deku trying to convince Sir Nighteye to allow him to be with his agency for the work study, and we'll probably get to learn a little more about what has driven All Might and his former psychic apart. A test is teased that Deku is going to have to take, presumably to show Sir Nighteye that he is worth working with, and things seems as though they'll probably resolve themselves within an episode. I'm going to speculate that Deku will learn about why All Might doesn't want to speak or see Sir Nighteye, and that in the end he'll prove himself enough to win over the pro hero and work with his agency throughout his study. That's going to do it for my review of My Hero Academia Season 4 Episode 2, Overhaul. If you guys enjoyed this one, let me know in the comments below, and subscribe to Mystic Sage and notifications on so you don't miss my review of the 4th season's next great episode. I've got a lot of great videos about My Hero Academia already on the channel, and about plenty of other anime as well. I hope you guys are as hyped to go plus ultra as I am, and I'll see you guys next time with another review of My Hero Academia Season 4.